is going on, everybody? It is episode 936 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. We are back once again. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I saw that some of you were worried Phil would not be here today. I don't know why.
I didn't put him in the description.
Joining us.
I didn't put him in the description box.
Yes, he is joining us for Thrashing Thursday. Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello, guys. How are you doing? Hello, everyone. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary, and I am here.
Well, it's funny because literally this day last year, we were talking about the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And we are again talking about the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
So we should just start setting our clocks ahead for the next year.
It's just weird that they set it in October. It never used to be that way.
When was it before?
During spring, summertime, or Christmas.
Makes more sense to be summer, I guess.
I'm just happy that they're pretty again.
They're not.
Yeah, they
I
are.
promise.
They're way better.
You didn't watch it.
I watched it. Way better than the other ones.
Did you watch it?
I've seen clips.
Because if you just see like some of the photos of like some of the OG models, then you're gonna think we're so back. But I promise it's over.
It's propaganda.
I promise you guys.
I saw that they
so
put a
over.
larger woman in a jacket, which is that's all right.
There were many large women, and also a dude. And I'm just saying. We're not back, okay? Like, stop saying we're back.
The vibe is not shifted.
Don't say we're back until we're back, because we're not back yet from whatever that is.
The vibe is not shifted yet.
The vibe is not shifted, okay? There are tucking kits backstage at the Victoria's Secret fashion show. We're not back.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, would you hit the like button on this video, please?
Mary
and
is
subscribe.
nothing ever happens incarnate.
Subscribe to the channel. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Remember to share these segments and the live streams out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, everybody in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share our content with, the faster our channel can grow. We are closing in on 375,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is a very big deal. So go ahead and share the content out, and maybe perhaps we can find some more subscribers waiting in the wings who want to hear us talk about that exact subject that they were just discussing here. So what are we getting into today? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Number one, of course, being everything they just said about the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Yeah, we talked about it last year because that was the official comeback from the hiatus for Victoria's Secret. And it was underwhelming, to say the least. And yes, there was a trans model and many overweight models, lots of forced inclusivity. They have only doubled down on all of that.
They didn't ask me.
Yeah, they didn't really ask
It's too bad.
the public for their opinion. But it's, something to do with it might be that their new CEO is a lesbian that talks about representation all the time.
So we'll get into it. We'll talk about that. Also, guys, from the genre that brought you Morning Glory Milking Farm, Star Wars.
God.
Star Wars is introducing their very first romantasy BOOKTok book. Phil's face right now.
And this is, I promise, like an actual Disney product. The reason why it's alarming is like this isn't just some bootleg fan fiction that's being sold on Amazon. This is being officially published as a Star Wars novel by Disney.
So we've got
Jabba my Hutt.
That was what I was looking for earlier. I was trying to find my own version of
disgusting.
Morning Glory Milking Farm,
Yeah.
except with Jabba the Hutt. We'll get into it, guys. I'm sure you guys can't wait for that. Also, Kim Kardashian went on Call Her Daddy, as all the female celebrities
Thank
are wont to
God.
do. And she seemed to be in the mood to cancel herself, because nobody, Kim Kardashian, did you ever see my creepy photo shoot with Justin Bieber? This is an actual thing that happened back in 2010 in Elle magazine, and I posted yesterday about her not knowing the price, or the price of a gallon of milk. That doesn't bother me. They're celebrities. I don't expect them to be attached to the reality you and I are living, but this goes so much farther than that. So we're going to get into all of that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you guys are ready, we can just go ahead and get started. Mary, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Phil,
Let's go.
let's go for it.
So I have to hand some credit to The Wrap for honestly reporting on this. There is a new teaser trailer out for a limited series titled Amadeus, which is inspired by the same stage play as Amadeus the movie. And people are trashing it for not only its dissimilarities to the movie version of the story, but also, of course, the very blatant race swap of this famous composer Mozart in this version of the story is Asian for no reason. He is played by this actor named Will Sharp, who happens to be half Japanese, and they do not address that in the trailer. He's just Asian, and that's it.
Let's watch the trailer here, guys. Here we go.
Ooh, very fancy. Oh, yuck. Who wrote this?
This repulsive creature played so exquisitely. Diminish the man, diminish the god.
Okay.
Believe in a...
Wait, what is with this, like, crop? Look at the white line in the corner. I don't think you can see it from this angle. What is this white? Did somebody doing the graphics at the end just not catch this here? Or was this crop to vertical? Did you see the trailer for the Young Washington movie? It looks like it's in looks like it's in 4:3 aspect ratio. It's like a square box rather than widescreen.
No.
Yeah, anyways.
Well, at the end, they say, believe in original stories.
Well, it is original because it's, not even based on a real person because the real person didn't look like that.
Sure. And, needless to say, Mozart was white and Austrian, actually, described as very pale and fair-haired as well. So this isn't even like a stretch of the imagination. It's just complete fiction. So there are a lot of tweets trashing this trailer right now, understandably. It's described here as when 25-year-old Amadeus arrives in 18th century Vienna, no longer a child prodigy and craving creative freedom, his world collides with two pivotal figures, his fiercely loyal future wife, Constance Weber, and devoutly religious court composer, Antonio Salieri, based on Peter Shaffer's award-winning stage play, which is the same inspiration for the film. This 5-part reimagination explores the meteoric rise and mythic downfall of one of history's most iconic composers and rock star virtuoso of the 18th century, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, starring Will Sharp. Here were some of the replies. From Oren McIntyre, the humiliation is the point.
Are you talking about the actor?
What?
What does he mean by that?
Well, he means that the degradation of the actual story of this historical figure is the point of making the TV series.
You talk about what's the word? Never mind. I can't think of the word. Go ahead.
Love when that happens.
Humiliation ritual?
No.
Come to mind?
Go ahead.
Another reply said they're inserting non-whites into the history of whites precisely to negate the reality that whites are responsible for about 97% of everything great in history, the most inconvenient fact of human history, which contradicts the ideology of diversity. All the greatest composers are European men. Classical music is not an international language, but European in origin, spirit, and greatness. White men were responsible for the highest, most complex form of music, along with the invention of the most sophisticated musical instruments and the articulation of all the treatises on music and matters related to pitch, notes, intervals, scale systems, tonality, modulation, and melody. The greatest classical composers are listed here. Literally all of them are European. I won't go through the whole list, but obviously Mozart is one of them. And they did not address any of the backlash, at least not yet. I guess they were just thinking, this would fly under the radar.
If I was to give them advice, which I would, it's, look, the advice to make the change is impossible. You're not going to be able to do that now. Just don't address it at all. Just release your show and pretend like, actually, you know what you should do? You just gaslight. Like, what are you talking about?
Demoralization.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
That's the word that I was looking for.
That's also
earlier.
the point.
My bad. That's the whole point of it, is to demoralize you, to make you, because your history or history that we all know and share, when you look at it in a positive light and it reflects your values and stuff, that is something that you can take pride in, and that's motivating. It gives you a feeling of contentment. Whereas when they destroy things that you consider part of your history, that demoralizes you.
At least they didn't put him in a wood wheelchair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
The King of England.
The King of England.
Well, at least in that show, that is like
All
marketed
history,
as
yes.
historical fiction, not as reality or anything biographical. But another
Cleopatra's
response,
over here like first time.
yeah, I was joking earlier, like, oh, there's a Cleopatra biopic starring Io Edebiri, and you actually believed it at first.
I was like, really? And you're like, no.
Not
I'm
real,
like,
guys.
That's the problem.
But
like,
the problem is that you almost thought it was real.
Yep.
Another response pointed out that they just didn't put a lot of effort into making this visually appealing. The colors are worse, the costumes are worse, the lighting is worse, the whole thing feels mushier and murkier all the way through. Like many projects these days, the color and the lighting is underwhelming at best.
It's not as bad as some of the stuff that I've seen lately. I'll give them that. Like there's some decently lit shots here, but for the most part, the tonality of most color grading these days is flat and uninteresting.
And someone pointed out the irony of the "Believe in Original Stories" motto at the end.
Well, no, it also
says
says believe in better. So they're saying that this is the better version of the story.
The limited series is a remake of the 1984 film, which was an adaptation of the 1979 play, which was inspired by an 1830 play, which was inspired by history.
Here is the shots that you have to look out for if you do take the time to watch this. Like this, something like this, it's just flat. It's just drab. It's just dark. There's nothing interesting there. That's the ones those are the shots that are going to end up ruining it for you if you're trying to watch this.
Yeah. One of the series creators, or screenwriters rather, named Joe Barton, responded here to the criticism saying, I wrote this. As part of our promotion, we are going to destroy every single copy of the 1984 original movie in existence, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
What is that if it's not taunting people that love the original, you know?
And he continued rage baiting people, saying, at the same time as we were filming our show, Michael Sheen was playing Salieri in the Sydney Opera House, having also played Amadeus 25 years ago in West End and Broadway. Just one of the many actors to have played the roles in different productions. I don't think Amadeus is a sacred text that cannot be touched. Rather, a story that has been told in various guises for hundreds of years now, including, yes, a popular Hollywood movie. This version that we've done is just another restaging and continuation of that tradition.
It's still a real person. Sorry.
See, you could have just said that. If that's your opinion, like you're wrong, then that's fine. But you said it respectfully, but not after you posted the joke about burning the copies of the Hollywood movie that people prefer.
The other thing is they oftentimes in these cases what they do is they conflate the stage plays with what's being put on movies and television. There is a lot lower there's a lot higher threshold for acceptance for these types of race swaps for stage plays than there is for films, because the audience for stage plays is niche.
Yeah. People also pointed out the casting of Paul Bettany, I believe as Salieri, doesn't make a lot of sense because he's sort of an Anglo-looking actor playing an Italian.
So here's the thing, guys. If you really want to get this show canceled and you want to go the progressive route, what you do is you don't protest the casting of Mozart. You protest Paul Bettany because of his texts with Johnny Depp during the Amber Heard trial. That's how you get this thing taken off the air.
Right, exactly. I just didn't expect this level of blowback, though, because I didn't know the original film from the 80s was that beloved. I watched it actually in school. I was like shown it for history class or something back in the day.
I don't think that this is the type of thing that rates anymore. Like 5 years ago, this would have been like grade A rage bait and everybody would have been pissed. Now everyone's going to be like, bro, they're going to release 37 streaming shows this month. I'm just going to skip Amadeus.
Like anyone was going to watch it.
I literally just posted a video today, guys, about the death of the Comfort Show. And if you want to know why the Comfort Show is gone, why you don't get your 200 episodes of a TV show anymore, it's because they have to make Drek like this. 8-episode limited run series that nobody has any interest in watching and will have no cultural impact beyond us making a video out of it and like 10 people on Stan Twitter pretending like it's really, really popular when it's not.
We never did get around to talking about the Wuthering Heights movie. They put out the trailer for that. It has Margot Robbie playing a 17-year-old. And They also got a lot of backlash for casting Heathcliff as a white man. Jacob Elordi's playing Heathcliff. A lot of people felt that in the book, it's pretty clear that he's, at the very least, not white. I don't know how he's described in the book. I don't think I ever read it. I don't remember reading it. But yeah, it was basically directed like it should be a music video. And the whole thing it's being marketed to probably the BookTok gooners.
Yeah. I mean,
Super
at a certain
sexualized.
point, every limited series will, instead of history, will just be alt history.
Oh, and the soundtrack for the Wuthering Heights movie is done by Charlie XCX. So
They couldn't find...
that's about the most Dubai chocolate Labubu marketing scheme I've ever heard of. It's just crap.
Nothing is real and everything
this,
is disposable.
Is this just, can we also write this off as a holdover from the Biden era? Like, is this a relic of liberal past?
This stuff is still going to get
Is this liberal mustiness?
No, this stuff is always going to exist. Like, these types of shows will always exist because it'll be conflated with alt history shows, and then they'll be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch this, and then I'm going to watch reruns of Bridgerton.
You know what? Asian Mozart.
Let them
F it.
Like, why not?
Let them have it.
Like, I'm completely. You know why too? Because they were thinking outside the box. They're like, if we cast a black actor, it's going to get major pushback. But if we cast an Asian actor, it won't matter.
Yeah, even him being Wasian is sort of a loophole.
Yeah,
you know,
they're fine. They should have gotten Jackie Chan. That would have been hilarious. Get old Jackie Chan to play young Mozart.
And then get Chris Tucker to play Salieri.
That's amazing.
Why the F not?
Like, why aren't they hiring us to cast these shows for them? We could be making them so much money.
Right.
All right, let's move on.
So I don't know if we have talked about the trend of Lavender Marriage content creators on the show before, but they're getting a lot of attention. This used to refer to men during McCarthyism getting married to women to hide their homosexual lifestyles. And now it's something that you can be proud of and proclaim on social media for clout. The couple in question has gotten multiple profiles in the Washington Post and the New York Times. You can see them in their wedding photos here. He's gay, she's straight, they're happily married. A new crop of couples are making content about their mixed orientation marriages, divorced from sexual attraction, but not from love.
Why does it have to be called marriage?
Because it's got tax benefits.
The government, there shouldn't be, and that's my argument. Honestly, there should be no tax benefits for marriage if they're extending tax benefits about marriage to people that aren't actually like in a marriage.
I believe that this is marriage. It's a man and a woman. They're having a family, and it's weird, but has historical precedent.
They're having a family, so they're gonna have kids.
Yes.
Oh,
that's the craziest part. In the very beginning here, they say, Samantha Wynn Greenstone knows her husband is gay, okay? She knew he was gay when they met in a San Diego production of Fiddler on the Roof. They're theater kids, of course. She knew he was gay when he proposed. She knew he was gay when they got married in November. He's not bisexual. She's not in denial. That hasn't stopped them from being in a committed monogamous relationship for nearly 10 years. She says, if anything, I think we're taking the sanctity of marriage to a whole new level. She said, smiling widely as she sat beside her husband, Jacob Hoff.
They have kids?
They are currently expecting.
I can't help it but think that this guy's just very sneaky.
He is 32. Sneaky. She is 38. We're possibly looking at a situation where, you know, she's getting close to the end of her childbearing years. I guess she has an emotional connection to this man, even if they aren't attracted to each other. And this seems like their best bet at reproducing. And this is their happily ever after. They know that morning, Jacob made her new favorite breakfast, an English muffin with egg, cheese, and avocado. He says, it's been one of her pregnancy things, English muffins. Before pregnancy, we ate no bread. We were gluten-free. Yes, she's pregnant. Yes, it's his. And yes, if you must know how they conceived, in her words, we birdsed and beesed. They did the thing. And you know what? I have to give them credit for that. At least they didn't go to a clinic. At least they didn't hire out like some surrogate womb for this. I pointed out before, this was a tweet of mine from last year. I don't understand why gay guys demand surrogates anyway. Is the idea of having sex with a woman really that nauseating to them? Grow up. And yeah, I think if you're a gay man, yeah, you can have a family. You need to have a family with a woman. That's how it works. So he did it the right way. He probably took my recommendation there. They say they're part of a small but growing community of people who are opening up on social media about their non-traditional permutations of partnership, amending marriage with clarifying adjectives such as platonic, queer platonic, aromantic, and mixed orientation. For months, they've been making content about their Lavender Marriage. I have an example of one of their Instagram videos here to show about, it's a skit of the women who don't know their husbands are gay.
Is that this one here?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
God, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club, oh mama.
It's so hot today.
I hate my body.
No. Honey, you've been in there an hour and a half. Can I get in there and brush my teeth, please?
That's not what you're wearing, is it?
No.
No, no.
Maybe you'd appreciate me more if I looked like Bernadette Peters. That Margot Robbie is so beautiful.
I'm just
So we're already doing Cringe of the Day then. With no warnings.
No.
Right into cringe.
I thought I told you to get rid of this. I just can't believe after 30 years Phantom is closed.
There are other shows, honey.
No.
Okay.
So they're having fun together. Mm-hmm. They're kind of dunking on people who are in lavender marriages without knowing it. Mm-hmm. And they say the term has its roots in the lavender scare of the mid-20th century under McCarthyism, an executive order under Eisenhower that led to a purge of federal workers suspected of homosexuality. There were thousands of people who lost their jobs, livelihoods, and they turned to lavender marriage, a seemingly heterosexual partnership meant to conceal your homosexuality. And she says, we're a little different than the conventional definition because I'm openly talking about it. We're like the version 2.0, their Lavender Marriage 2.0. And you could say the same of Barry Diller, who recently confirmed he is both gay and happily married to Diane von Furstenberg, or Trisha Cook, who spoke openly about being a lesbian married to Ethan Coen while promoting their movies Drive Away Dolls and Honey Don't. Hoff and Greenstone have turned their marriage into a career. Social media is Jacob Hoff's main source of income. They spend much of their day making videos and responding to skeptics, supporters, and other curious commentators. We found a whole group of people who have never heard of us before, and were like, I'm in this relationship, and I didn't know there were others like me out there. So I guess there's like a large community of people in these situations who find them relatable.
Yeah, I guess the number one thing that you would take away from something like this is like it's always profitable. They always find a way to monetize these types of things.
You also get the people who say, I have a gay best friend. Do you think we're in love? And we have to be like, no, honey. This is the first committed relationship that Jacob has ever been in, though he says he sampled the proverbial offerings of the world. Never a full meal. Both parties felt a deep connection when they met, but neither had marriage on their minds. That began to change after Greenstone saw a spiritual healer in LA who told her that she and Jacob Hoff shared a spiritual umbilical cord. And then she asked Jacob via text whether he had feelings for her that ran deeper than friendship. He said that he did. Early in their relationship, they went to see a therapist. She told us that she is a straight woman married to a woman. And we all blew each other's minds in that session because we had never seen this dynamic before. Greenstone said one of their most supportive commenters online Some of their most supportive commenters are conservative, saying it's a safe package for them. They've gone out of their way to court viewers from across the political spectrum. One of their most controversial videos was from last year, where they explained their decision not to reveal who they were voting for in the presidential election. We didn't want any audience member to feel isolated. When asked about Trump's positions on transgender people, she clarified she has always shown unwavering support for trans rights. We have trans people that voted for Donald Trump that support us, so we're not going to isolate ourselves from those people. They know that people have questions and that some will never be satisfied with their answers, but they're steadfast in their happiness and love.
Is this like your new favorite like Instagram to follow now?
I'm not going to follow them. But I do think this is probably something that's more common than we realize.
Think so?
And you know what? I think I've said on the show before, a lot of women are okay with marrying gay guys.
You have said that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expand.
I just think like they're okay with having a marriage that's mostly about friendship and companionship and you know, sharing a home together and not focusing on having a sex life.
Do you think part of that
I
is
think a lot of women who really don't like have any interest in having a sexual relationship with their husbands would be better off marrying a gay man who's interested in having a family and like living some sort of more normative lifestyle.
Do you think that that is because like society for the most part has become so safe they don't have to worry about the guy being some sort of protector over them?
That is one chink in the armor, isn't it? I guess if he is able to conform to certain masculine tropes, then there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. Like, as long as you know he's not going to be doing anything on the side.
I need this couple to show us like their like the weapons they own, like all their guns. Like, I
bet they voted for Trump based on those comments. I bet they voted for Trump.
I don't like. 3 years ago, I would have said yeah, but now I don't. I think it's purely a business decision either way. Like I would have agreed with you back in 2020 that like not saying it is telling on yourself, and it's really just because you did vote that way. Now it's like I want to make as much money as I can for as many people as I can. I'm going to keep it to myself.
All I'm saying is this does have historical precedent. It's just what doesn't have historical precedent is shouting it from the rooftops like this. Like most of the time it was just sort of kept quiet between the couple. They had a mutual understanding between each other and still had a commitment of loyalty. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious that if this guy went around hooking up with dudes on the side, that would still be considered cheating in their weird, unconventional relationship. Yeah. Like they still are loyal to each other. It's just that they're not attracted to each other, and that's not at the forefront of their relationship.
Okay.
You know?
I learned something.
Like sometimes throughout history, I'm sure this has happened and your husband is a little light in the loafers and maybe that's fine.
The real annoying part here was the stuff about gluten and in English muffins. I was like, okay, you sound insufferable.
Okay, maybe the gluten-free.
That was a bridge. That was a bridge too far.
That took it too far.
That was a bit too much.
And perhaps related, there's this new trend of Gen Z women referring to their boyfriends as lesbians. This girl in this TikTok says,
Phil loves this.
My boyfriend is spiritually lesbian.
This is all giving me cancer.
I don't know what that is supposed to mean.
I don't know.
But, yeah.
Somebody in the chat said, so he's bisexual with extra steps.
Potentially they fall under the umbrella of Lavender Marriage. And I'll say, this morning, I was on Instagram Reels, and the first thing I saw was this guy who said, like, I wrote this song about the first time that I told my wife I was attracted to a man. And then all the comments were like, oh my gosh, like I love the vulnerability.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe more common than we think.
Your corner of the internet is very different from mine, that is for sure. Okay, let's move on. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Well, now,
I mean, we've been watching cringe for literally the first half hour of the show.
Why
cringe. Not keep it up?
We'll move on to the cringe. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do the cringe then. Here we go. Pull it up here.
This is maybe a throwback to like 2020 TikTok right here.
Marine. First to fight, he's loyal. Honor, courage, commitment.
I'm dying
Core
inside right
values simplify. Oorah, he's a Marine.
Like, why is he just standing there?
He's standing at what they call parade rest while she dances.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's parade rest, and it's cringy. It's cringy. He's not enjoying this either.
He's like, "Did you get the clout you wanted?"
Yeah, he's
Can
like,
I,
"All right,
can I go now?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's do the cue to the day. All right, here we go. All right, Heather Chancellor says Hercules is ready for the postseason to start. Hercules is a very cute puppy.
Good dog."
Always a puppy on Thrashing Thursday.
Thank God.
Whenever we can. Guys, if you would like to send your pets in to brag about them on this show, what you should do is you should tag me on X at Brett Dasovic on the platform and use the I know that hashtags supposedly don't work anymore, but do it anyways. Hashtag
Just
PCC
'cause.
Pets, just cause. And I will try and get them on here so we can brag about them. Photos, please, not videos.
Back in 2019, the Victoria's Secret fashion show went on an indefinite hiatus, and they made their official comeback last year. And they just had their 2025 Victoria's Secret fashion show. And I have to be the person with the unpopular opinion. We're not so back, okay? Victoria's Secret has already lost multiple billions of dollars catering to performative inclusivity with their brand. They've lost so much brand value doing this. And still, they are digging in their heels with more of it in this installation of the fashion show. They included lots of plus-size models, lots of non-models as well, including influencers, Nepo babies, and athletes. But the most egregious example from last night was the feature of Alex Consani, who actually is a professional model, but is male and identifies as female. As you can see in this photo, this was Alex Consani on the runway last night with the Victoria's Secret angel wings. Look, this is a gay man in trousers at the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
That's a guy?
Get out of my face with this. I have no patience for this anymore. And you can also see on Alex Consani's Instagram just weeks ago a photo of his tuck-in kit next to the Victoria's Secret robe there in the dressing room. This is a pre-op trans-identifying male being featured with the rest of the models.
Okay.
Proudly. And this is why they continue to be a joke to me. And I understand exactly why this happened. They came under new leadership back in September last year. Look, I'm just saying this wouldn't have happened under Les Wexner. Whatever you have to say about Les Wexner, his weird friendship and business relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, this wouldn't have happened under Les Wexner. Their new CEO is Hillary Super, a lesbian who has spoken about the importance of representation in leadership. She is married to Gap executive Michelle Sizemore, who publicly celebrated Hillary Super's appointment as CEO on social media. She has noted that it is important for her to be the LGBTQ CEO, allows her to show up authentically and help dispel stereotypes, noting that visibility is crucial for the next generation of women. She
Did you say why? Why it's important for the next generation of women? Why does that matter?
Why do you think?
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
not. It's not.
It's not. But yeah, this is who is making the decisions at the top of this company, including the decision to include athletes Angel Reese and Sunisa Lee as part of the runway show. Here they are together. They're literally like 2 feet apart in height. But yeah, we have a WNBA player and a gymnast who is like 4 feet tall on the runway. It just doesn't make any sense, especially given Angel Reese's recent complaints about feeling overly sexualized online. then just seconds later is going on to this underwear catwalk. I have no patience for that either. And of course, they did include multiple plus-size models, some professional models, but also Barbie Ferreira, an actress, who was one of their plus-size models in the pink runway segment. They covered her up, though, with this huge denim jacket, which I thought was a telling decision, that they have this huge jacket covering her body while you have the size 0 K-pop stars performing in the background.
They give her like the angel wings, but they fold the wings over the front of her.
Yeah. I also thought, so they had multiple music performers. One of them was this K-pop group called Twice, and their vocals were distractingly awful.
Okay.
They should have just lip synced. It was terrible. They also had Carol G singing in Spanish, whatever.
That makes sense. Carol G is like extremely, like, that was one of those ones when I found out how famous she was. I was like, how can
like
somebody,
Bad Bunny.
It's kind of like Bad Bunny, where it's like, it's actually really impressive that they could be that famous, but I've never heard of them.
I don't know
I mean,
why.
that was years ago.
They
though.
projected on the Jumbotron at the show just the word Latina.
Which is very, like, why not Latine? Like I said the
I
other
don't
day,
get it.
I was just informed of Latine, which is the new, you know, ivory tower gender neutral term.
They could have just put up pandering.
Yes.
And they also included this TikTok influencer named Gabriella Mora. This is a picture of her backstage at the show. She just looks like a girl you went to high school with. And in the name of inclusivity and just trying to scrape back relevance in this day and age, they had to include influencers, as well as another named Quen Blackwell. These people don't know how to model, and it's very obvious. I didn't go into watching the broadcast with like the list of people who were cast. So I went in with fresh eyes, and I knew exactly who was featured, who was not a professional model immediately by the way that they walk and present themselves. They're like just overdoing it. They're making it all about themselves. They're posing like an Instagram photo shoot when that's not what it's for. They also included multiple Nepo babies, including Kate Moss's daughter, Lila Moss, and Jude Law's daughter, Iris Law. Here is a picture of Iris Law. It's just like painfully obvious that this is not a model. She was included because of her last name. And Bella Hadid was also in the show. That's to be expected. But it's weird because just weeks ago, she posted a hospital photo shoot where she's in the hospital bed, like just fighting for her life.
Look, this is what they were doing to raise money for Lyme disease awareness.
Right. Now we're all aware of Lyme disease. And
Thank God.
Just look at those wings. I learned that these wings that she's wearing are 50 pounds. And she looks like she's struggling to carry herself.
Well, she should have gone to basic training for a couple of
I even saw as she was walking back off stage, she's pulling on the straps, trying to support the weight because she's frail and malnourished and was literally hospitalized for some benign like medical crisis a matter of weeks ago. One positive thing I'll say about the show is that they included Madison Beer as one of the musicians performing. I like her look. I like the vibe of her music and her branding for this. She looks like she could be one of the models, even though she's not a professional model. They had her walk at the end of her performance as well. But it does just show how much they have plummeted in brand value, that they can't get real, like, big name musicians to perform at their shows anymore. They used to have Kanye West, Rihanna, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, The Weeknd. So many huge musicians performed at the Victoria's Secret shows because it was a big deal in the culture back then. And it's just not anymore. It's lost all of its relevance. And I think just featuring Madison Beer as one of their musicians, unfortunately, kind of proves that point.
Yeah.
Because she's not that famous and not that relevant. And they also, toward the end, just took like an intermission for Missy Elliott to perform. If you're a fan of Missy Elliott, like, no shade, I guess, but she has zero relevance to young people today. Like,
yeah.
I don't
Yes.
understand why she was there just on that basis alone. They don't have big name pop stars anymore who are interested in performing at the Victoria's Secret show, and it's their own doing. They tanked their own brand.
Yeah.
And they're still digging in their heels even post Vibe Shift. Like, I thought that we were past the woke era, and I have seen the Quartering weighing in on this, posting some selected cherry-picked photos of the show saying, look, we're so back. Look at all of these OG models. They brought back, you know, Adriana Lima, and they have Bella Hadid, and, you know, lots of the original angels. But that's just cherry picking. If you watch the whole broadcast, you'll see what a mess it was. And the inclusion of a man on that stage is so much of an insult and just a joke that I don't think they deserve any credit for an improvement being made on last year.
Okay.
And another positive thing I'll say about it, I think it was cool that they opened the show with Jasmine Tookes, who is... She appears to be just about to pop. She's like 8 months pregnant right now. I thought that was pretty cool and pretty impressive just on a physical level that you're able to catwalk while 8 months pregnant. That takes some athleticism and training. So I guess that's one of the other positive things about it. But for the most part, it was just kind of lame and underwhelming. I remember last year when we talked about the show, we had a hate video made about it. And you were on that episode, and this guy, this gay man, was saying that about me, like, oh, she says she's into fashion, but she clearly doesn't understand anything about this. And she doesn't understand
She
the
says this,
branding
but let me
of...
tell you why she's not, because I said so.
Yeah, and he was basically saying that I don't have a valued opinion on this, despite the fact that I'm literally the target audience for it. Like... This is a Victoria's Secret show that is meant to sell underwear to women.
Not to gay men.
Not to gay men. At least I would hope that
Well,
he's not
actually,
buying the underwear. But maybe he is. I am the target demographic. And I'm not just saying this because I'm conservative, although that plays into how I form my opinion on it. There are lots of... you know, apolitical or like left-leaning young women who I'm seeing talk just as much shit about it because it's lame and you can't really argue with that.
All right.
It just lost its appeal.
All right. Let's go to some super chats then.
High Voltage 75 said, "What up, wokesters?" I'm gonna start calling the crisis actors the wokesters. How do you feel about that, Brett?
That's still not even a word that I don't think I've ever actually heard someone say. You mentioned it on here, but it just, I've never actually seen that in the wild.
Wokesters are triggered.
Oh, man.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thursday, Brett and Mary. It ain't thrashing without Phil. Great video on the death of comfort shows this morning, Brett. It was spot on."
I retweeted.
Phil is here. Not to worry.
I'll spread the word.
Yep. And thank you. That was, yeah. You if you haven't, guys, you should go check that out after the show today. I did about 18 minutes complaining about streaming shows and ended it with this great video of this guy who explains why comfort shows are important and why your love of White Lotus doesn't make you cool.
Was it cathartic?
It was very cathartic.
Experience
Good.
for you.
Well, yeah, because usually I have these ideas at like 11 p.m. and I start writing notes out for myself, and that's mildly cathartic, but then it becomes even more cathartic to come in the morning and just start ranting until my voice gives out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder followed up, "Yay, it's a thrashing Thursday. Huzzah, welcome, Phil."
Cheers.
Greg Duvier
We're
said,
like halfway to a crisis party, guys. Let's go.
yeah. Greg Duvier said, "Let's go?"
Exactly.
Question mark?
And we got some Rumble rants here. I'm gonna take care of these before I miss them here from Adobe Kenobi, which is still the best username that we've ever had on here. Happy Thursday, everyone. Phil, can you please say, "Tucker, go to the effing gym"? Feel free to actually drop the F-bomb. Just needs some motivation. God bless everyone.
Tucker, get your lazy ass up and go to the effing gym.
Is that referring to Tucker Carlson?
Probably not.
Does he not go to the gym?
Tucker Carlson definitely doesn't go to the gym.
Well, I guess he needs the motivation then.
He does.
Grunmeister says, "Phil, what's Phil's opinion on people wanting to listen to the band Lost Prophets again now that Ian Watkins is no longer among the living?"
So, mercifully, I was never a Lost Prophets fan, and I honestly probably couldn't pick out any of their music at all. Thank goodness. It's just not safe. I would not recommend it. I would not recommend talking to anyone about Lost Prophets if you do listen to them. Yeah, I wouldn't listen to them. Like I said, I'm glad I don't. It's a bad idea. Just unsafe, man.
I remember the song Last Train Home. It was big when I was like a senior in high school. That's what I remember. And then I remember years later hearing what Ian Watkins did and needing a shower because it was it is the most disgusting thing that I've ever read about.
Yep.
So let's hold off on the rest. We'll come back after. Let's move on.
All right. So at New York Comic Con, there were several announcements about the future of Star Wars, and I'm not shocked that it's nothing good. They have approved at Disney the publishing of the first official Star Wars romance novel. This is just their latest attempt at basically making Star Wars into a girl brand, which it never has been. The romance novel in question is called Eyes Like Stars.
We need Chris Gore on this panel right now. He's the one who has long since been talking about the destruction of Star Wars and Marvel being made from guy brands into girl brands.
Star Wars' first official romance. Do you have the cover photo
yes, I
there?
do. Here we go.
That
looks like something a Star Wars fan would love.
New York Times best-selling author Ashley Poston is writing the first official Star Wars romance novel. New York Comic Con got the first look at the dreamlike cover for the young adult novel, which features a couple in search of their happily ever after in the galaxy far, far away. The charming young adult romance, set about a year and a half before Star Wars The Force Awakens, features all new characters, a mysterious artifact, and the fearsome First Order.
So all new characters, meaning that it doesn't even need to be set in the Star Wars universe. You could change the name of the First Order to, the Second Coming, and it could be something completely different. It doesn't have to be Star Wars, but they're going to do that because it's monetizable.
So that's scheduled for release in summer of 2026 and available for pre-order soon. And understandably, this got a lot of backlash from the outset. Some people, actually feminists, took issue with this idea. One said it said, "Does this not feel incredibly infantilizing to anyone else, or am I just crazy?" Another responded, "It's extremely misogynistic and unnecessary. They're trying to capitalize off of the explosion of romance novels, including the Reylo fan fiction turned into a movie." That is a real thing. We talked about it on the channel. There was a Reylo fan fiction that got picked up by a literary agent. They changed the names to generic ones, and now they are making it into a Hollywood movie starring, actually, Daisy Ridley's husband as the love interest in the place of Kylo Ren. But they're saying, they're trying to show, we're for girls too. I'd rather you just call me a dumb bitch who can't understand sci-fi fantasy. I kind of agree with them. And another one was upset about the choice to include a human love interest. This BOOKTok person said, "My hot take is that they should have taken a hard look at the Star Wars what the Star Wars girlies read and write on Tumblr, and picked literally any of the popular alien species for the male love interest instead of human."
Somebody in the chat can
like, why are you serving a regular human guide to the fandom filled to the brim with alien effers?
Somebody in the chat can let us know what they were called, but I'm almost positive, and I think I saw something on X earlier, that back in the day there were like Star Wars romance novels, but Disney got rid of the expanded universe, so now they're not canon anymore.
They were licensed?
I believe so. Somebody in the chat can let me know for sure. Go look that up, but I'm almost positive that did exist at some point. But the point is it's a whole different animal now. It's a minotaur, if anything, and that's the problem.
These women want romance novels about humanoid animals and aliens, not a human male love interest. So that was the main issue that they took with it. And now this has sparked a brand new discourse about whether the Star Wars fandom is exclusionary toward female fans. Screen Rant published this yesterday. After 48 years, it's time for Star Wars to outgrow its oldest prejudice. There has been a misconception that Star Wars is mainly for men ever since Star Wars premiered 48 years ago. This discussion was reignited with the announcement that Lucasfilm will be starting a romance publishing initiative with the young adult novel Eyes Like Stars. The outcry with which it was met proves that this prejudice is still very prevalent today, and it's extremely ill-founded. There has never once been a time when Star Wars was made exclusively for men. One of the most famous and beloved examples is the cosplayer T.J. Burnside, who was 16 at the time the first Star Wars hit theaters in 1977. In an age without digital references, T.J. created an entire screen-accurate X-Wing pilot cosplay for herself. I actually sent you that image. It was used as a clapback in this debate. Mm-hmm. She's in this photo from 1977 at the age of 16. Keep in mind, there was no internet to search for images. She could not have rented and paused the movie because it wasn't released on video until 1982. She went to the movie with a bunch of times, took notes with a flashlight, and drew sketches to put this together. So let's bury this BS about how women didn't grow up on Star Wars.
They're of course doing a very, very low IQ argument that doesn't actually stand up to scrutiny. Turn it on its head. Perhaps there's a guy at Screen Rant that really, really likes Morning Glory Milking Farm, and he loves to read BOOKTok books and romantasy. That doesn't mean that BOOKTok has been for everybody. It has a targeted genre. It is a targeted demographic of people that it was specifically for, and others who like it, that's fine. If you like Star Wars and you're a man, that's great. That's what it was initially. The idea was very simple in that regard, and the same would be true of Marvel. Superheroes appealed mostly to men because it played into the ideas that men kind of grew up wanting, the idea of being a superhero. That doesn't preclude women from being popular superhero characters, and it doesn't preclude women from being fans of superheroes. But understanding that, targeted demographics are a thing just proves that you're not approaching your argument honestly. You're being very disingenuous.
They also mention the pivotal character of Leia Organa, who completely subverted the stereotypes of a damsel in distress heroine. She, however, is also an unfortunate example of being the only female character people often point towards to prove that female characters and fans aren't mistreated.
No. They bring up Ripley all the time.
Newer female characters such as Rey, Rose, and Omega are often called names and blamed for making the media from which they derive mid or worse. This pattern often continues with female filmmakers and writers in Star Wars. Leslie Headland's The Acolyte is a prime example of this happening in recent times. Yeah, you made a Star Wars show that sucked and everyone hated it. You wanted meritocratic responses or not?
Yesterday, I put out a tweet about Catherine Bigelow. She was the director of Hurt Locker. She directed Point Break, which, as far as I'm concerned, makes her a genius to begin with. She did K-19, The Widowmaker, a bunch of other movies. And she did Zero Dark 30. And I pointed out in a tweet yesterday, just because I found the fact to be novel, that in 2010, she won the Oscar for Best Director. And one of the directors that she beat out for that film was James Cameron, who was up for Avatar. And they were ex-spouses at that time. And I just thought that was funny. And I was like, why is her name not brought up more when everybody was talking about whether it's The Acolyte or Patty Jenkins directing Wonder Woman and all that stuff? Why is Catherine Bigelow's name not brought up more? She certainly came about at a time when it was meritocratic.
And we can't forget the documentary filmmaker Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, who has been put in charge of the Rey movie.
I don't even know if that's still happening.
If that's even happening in the future. But they point out, ironically, there is another layer of misogyny in the recent discourse surrounding Eyes Like Stars, and it's the assumption that YA romance is only enjoyed by women. This is a gross exaggeration, especially within the Star Wars fandom. Romance has always been a key part of the Star Wars mythos, starting with the original trilogy, and this was pointed out by a lot of people. One person said, Star Wars is a romance novel. It's about making 12-year-olds understand love, greed, attachment, and fascism, and they added in lightsabers for the dorks who can't understand that and just want pew-pew.
So they're already being rude. In fact, this actually addresses something. There's a comment here in Rumble that I wanna mention. So they're infantilizing the audience. They're making fun of the audience, and they're talking down to them. This is from Real Data, please. On Rumble says, I don't understand. In an attempt to get more of the market, they are making women-focused things at the exclusion of the market. They already had. They are getting the other half. No, the problem is they've lost the half that they already had, because they've pandered so far to the one side that they're not making things that have really appealed to men in any recent point. Have you seen the Star Wars YouTube channel where they tried to turn it into like a lifestyle brand and stuff like that? There's a confusion in what your market share is and what you're supposed to make. And this is actually one of the things, and not to delve into this too deeply, but one of the things that they talk about these days is the phantom audience. They want, we've got the men. So now we want to get this audience, rather than consistently making products that audience will stick with you on. They go looking for another audience. And a lot of times I'll point out to the people that criticize it, like I'm doing it now. I'm like, look, that's a for-profit enterprise. It's badly run, but that's the point, right? Is like in a capitalist enterprise, it's like, how much is enough? They need to increase their market share, especially as the prices to create all of these properties have gone up. The amount of money it takes to make a film. But that only works, and you only expand well if you continue to make products that serve the needs of your initial base audience. Like any of these, if Coca-Cola went off the map and stopped making regular Coke so they could make Coke Blue or something stupid that nobody wants.
Coke Plus.
Their market share would fall through because they're not catering to the people that they initially found, which are fans of the initial product. The fact that they didn't put the initial trio in the sequel trilogy at one time proves to you that they didn't seem to care about the initial audience. That has nothing to do with men or women, just fans. Any fans of the original trilogy. It's like the Pawn Stars meme. It's like, can we get like Han, Luke, and Leia all together on screen at one time? Best I can do is Morning Glory milking farm for Star Wars.
God, I
and
hate it.
Also having Leia and Han Solo get a divorce in the story.
There's a big super chat there from Todd.
I hate it.
Sorry, we missed that. Disney ruined Star Wars and will keep failing. They have destroyed Star Wars. Tired of it all. You three rock. Brett, Mary, and Phil keep rocking it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Well, this journalist's poorly thought out argument is that all of the male Star Wars fans were romance fans all along. They just didn't realize it. And she does cite Han Solo and Leia as one of the reasons for that.
It's not clocking to them.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. So, her argument here. One moment. Her argument here says it's untrue, then, to immediately associate romance with a female-only audience and to assume that it's an attempt to bring more females into the franchise, when in reality, female fans have always been here and romance has always been prevalent in Star Wars. This novel is solely an effort to bring that crucial element of Star Wars back once again. Star Wars has immensely shied away from romance in recent years, but between Eyes Like Stars and the comment from Bryce Dallas Howard about the upcoming season 2 of Ahsoka being romantic, it seems as if Star Wars could finally be making good on romance again in a way that everyone, not just women, can and will enjoy. One aspect of the Han Solo and Leia love story, though, is that back then, like back in 1977, for Leia to be like kind of a bitch that's like new. Like people hadn't really seen a lot of love stories like that in film. And it was not as tiresome as seeing it in 2025, where ubiquitously all romance in movies and television are featuring, a woman who repeatedly rejects, humiliates, and insults the guy, and he continues pining after her, and she's a total bitch, but he's like obsessed with her.
And
even
anybody
though
with
she's
half a
bitch.
brain knows that that's not appealing to anybody.
And it's also not realistic. Like, I know it was appealing in the 1977 movie because people weren't used to seeing that. That was interesting back then. It's not interesting anymore.
Yeah.
There were actually other novels that were announced at Comic-Con that were not romance novels, but adding to that YA genre. One was called Star Wars Legacy by Madeline Rue. It's a novel set between the events of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, saying what Rey and Leia embark on a quest to repair Rey's lightsaber and rekindle the legacy of the Jedi. After barely escaping the First Order, Rey and the Resistance are struggling to rebuild. Her friends need The Last Jedi more than ever, but Rey feels alone and overwhelmed. Jedi tradition is built on masters and apprentices, and Rey's teacher is gone. Leia tries her best to train Rey in the ways of the Force, as Luke did for her so many years ago. But Leia's knowledge is limited, Rey's lightsaber is broken, and the specter of Kylo Ren regrets from the past haunt them both. How can Leia pass the torch when she herself is unsure of the way? And then there's the romance novel, and then another book called Jar Jar Binks by Ahmed Best and Mark Guggenheim. And that's, okay, it's a comic, rather, written about Jar Jar Binks. The teaser says this all-new one-shot teams up two iconic characters, Jar Jar Binks from the prequel trilogy and Kellerin Beck, I don't know if I said that right, who has been seen in The Mandalorian as the Jedi who saved young Grogu from the Jedi Massacre Order 66.
Ahmed
as well
Best
as...
played Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, okay.
So he wrote the book and played Jar Jar Binks.
Wrote the comic here. Yep. Yeah, so this was another one that was announced. They have another one called Star Wars Visions.
Make the Jar Jar Binks book talk romantasy. Otherwise, get out of the kitchen.
Another one called The Art of Andor, and it's supposed to be a behind-the-scenes companion to the Andor series. The Art of the Acolyte is a similar one for the Acolyte series.
We didn't even get into, and it wasn't really a point of the discussion today, the clip of Tony Gilroy the other day with the Andor Star Wars logo behind him promoting a No Kings protest. Star Wars is a mess right now, guys.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, but this prompted like all of the whole no girls allowed discourse, and like a bunch of women on Twitter posting pictures of themselves at fan events and in cosplay being like, no girls allowed, huh? Well, look at me. I'm a fan of Star Wars and you can't exclude me. Like, no one was excluding you.
The whole point is that you were never being excluded.
Right. They're just obsessed with the idea that they are being excluded.
They want to be excluded.
They can't let it go.
And they want to force their way in, and then they want to ruin it.
But they weren't excluded. That's the point. They didn't have to force their way into anything.
That's because their fantasy is I'm excluded, so I must force my way in. That's the fantasy part. And their behavior when they show up to these places is what ruins it.
You know who loves movies is Ben Shapiro. We need him to go around like, no conservatives allowed, huh? And it's just him dressed up as Rey rather than as Luke Skywalker.
Perfect.
That's what we need.
We have a 20 from Corey Anderson. Luke and Leia should have ended up together. That way people would hate it now. And Patton Oswalt was correct about what he said about George Lucas and the prequels. No one wants to see badass Darth Vader and Boba Fett as kids.
Luke and Leia should not have ended up together. And, you know, what did they say? Like, the reason why the initial trilogy worked better than the prequel trilogy is because before the combined success of the initial films, you know, by the time you get to the prequels, nobody there can tell George Lucas no. And, you know, the best director, the best writer in the world still needs somebody to put up the guardrails and be like, hey, back it up. Just roll it back just a little bit. Like, you can't have 100% creative control all the time.
I mean, the one thing I'll say is at least the romance novel doesn't, to our knowledge, include any explicit material since it's being marketed for the young adult audience. But We don't know for sure yet.
It's just a gateway drug to
this
the
is
Raylo
the gateway
fanfic.
drug.
Don't know
This
for
is the
sure.
gateway drug for sure. Like this is definitely their attempt to capitalize on the growing BOOKTok fandom community.
Yeah.
They want to bring in the female gooners into the franchise.
All right, let's go to some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, yes, because when I think of an 18th century Austrian Catholic composer, I think Asian. This is as bad as when they tried to say Mozart was black. Who said that Mozart was black?
We was Kang's people.
What?
Yeah.
And Shakespeare also, I heard, was a black woman.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm at that point now where I don't care. Fine. Maybe you're right. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Shakespeare and Equa. Yeah. Russ of the Frozen North said, on this note, they just started filming the Countess of Monte Cristo, a feminist retelling of the French classic.
I mean, that's going to be made for YouTubers to get drunk and watch live and make tons of money in super chats.
The Countess of Monte Cristo.
It was like when they said they were going to make...
Wait, is that real? Let me see.
Yeah.
Is it?
I can't find
No?
it. I can't find it.
It would have been funny if it was, though.
No. You must have been playing a prank on us there. Brian Bledsoe said, so the gay guy and get away with saying she looks fat in that dress. I don't know what you meant to type there, but I'll spell check, guys.
Yeah, that's fine. Do one more.
He was like going through her closet in that skit video. I guess that's one benefit.
There's
of
a
marrying
20
gay
there
guy.
from Dr. Larsena.
Fashion advice. Coke is actually a great example of what you're talking about, Brett. Do you remember New Coke?
Yes, I do.
Pepsi's CEO's declaration of victory was only premature because the Coke executives were smart and honest enough to backtrack.
I remember that. I mean, I don't think I was alive when that all happened, but I've heard the joke since then.
So they redid their formula?
I mean, that's happened multiple times. Yeah, like there was New Coke and then there was like a whole debacle. But the point is like the reason why Mountain Dew continues to make 10,000 new flavors is because you'll always have regular Mountain Dew that if you want to consume, you can. But if you want to go try new flavor 45, you can do that as well.
What is that?
Options are
I'm
good.
just listing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was real.
I mean, I still remember it was like a big deal when Mountain Dew Code Red came out, like when I was a kid, and that was like I was like 2 flavors.
Baja Blast.
Yep. They have Baja. You can buy Baja Blast in like liters now, and I was like, man, I quit soda like the wrong time.
It's just not good.
It's not the same when it's not from Taco Bell, anyways.
I think it's overhyped anyway. But I don't drink soda in general, so.
All right, let's hold off on the rest.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Guys, Kim Kardashian recently appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast.
They all do.
Clap if you care. All right, let's move on. No, we're not going to move on. Kim Kardashian revealed many things on this interview. But one of them, she was asked, is there anything you have done that you should have been canceled for but weren't?
That's a diabolical thing to ask someone.
Yeah.
You just, you know what you say? You say, no, I've been perfect literally my entire life.
And, there are probably just many myriad examples that Kim Kardashian could have referenced here, but she chose to mention was a creepy photo shoot that she did with Justin Bieber back in 2010 when he was 16 years old, and she says she doesn't know how old she was, maybe 30, and it was seductive in its themes.
Here's the clip of her.
Yeah, here was
Here we
her confession.
Here we go.
What is something you probably should have gotten canceled for but didn't?
I know what it is, and I think I'm going to get canceled if I say it.
You're like, I'm not bringing that shit
Is this
back.
like one of those things that like she wakes up in the middle of the night thinking about? Like, what if somebody
She
remembers this?
Wakes up screaming.
Like, I don't know who approved this, and I don't know who thought that this was normal, this narrative, but I did a photo shoot with Justin Bieber, and he was 16 years old, and I don't know how old I was, and it was like a play. His girlfriend was there, his parents were, I mean, it was like nothing creepy at all, but I look back and I'm like, that's the one thing that I feel like, he's like good, dear friend of ours and the whole family. But like,
what'd you do, Kim?
who thought that that was a good idea?
What did you do,
I
Kim?
must have been 30 years old.
I could see that. I could see that getting murky.
But it was a story of, what's that story with the teacher and the student? The Graduate.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I just feel like that was nothing ever weird, was obviously happening. And like, I just think that was like an odd concept, and why none of us thought that that was odd at the time. But now we look back and I'm like, that would have not been the most appropriate thing.
Okay.
So what?
All right. Well, like, it's not appropriate, right? But there's something that people do that I think is actually a result of like feminism overall, and that's making the argument or implying the argument that a woman sleeping with a boy under 18 is equally as bad as a man sleeping with a girl under 18. And I don't think it is, because the ramifications to a young girl, if she were to get pregnant, the bad things that can happen to a young girl are far exceed the bad things that can happen to a boy. It is something that we should say that we should, say it's bad and we should condemn it. But the idea that it's the same, which is what people try to imply a lot of times, and that's that is an argument that men and women are the same, and men and women are not the same. The reason that it is way worse if a older man has sex with a younger girl like that is because men and women are not the same.
Well, we see like now there's like an epidemic of like female teachers sleeping with teenagers in school, and the comments are usually littered with people saying, "Where were these teachers when I was in school?"
Well, most people share your instinct, Phil, that young women are more vulnerable than young men. That's not really the issue here. It's kind of the fact that
not
the
appropriate level, is that the issue?
The issue here is that is like the photo shoot itself. Like nobody's talking that like anything physical happened. They're just saying that whoever approved this photo shoot, it's like the Brooke Shields photo shoot, but not the same
not
thing.
Quite as bad.
Not as bad as that, but it's like the idea is like, how did this get past legal? How did this get past standards and practices as something we want to advertise for our because it was for like Elle magazine or something.
Right. This was a photo shoot for Elle magazine back in 2010, and the creative concept behind it was the 1967 film The Graduate. Can you pull up the photos here? This is not the worst of it, and it's hard to find the evidence now because Elle magazine has scrubbed it from their website. This is not all of it, though. There's more in this Reddit post. You have that?
Oh, yeah, I do here.
And the story in the movie is, it stars Dustin Hoffman playing a recent college graduate seduced by an older married woman, but ends up falling for her daughter. Anyway, he was 16 in this photo shoot, and knowing about Justin Bieber's early days as a up-and-coming pop star, and the way that people talked to him and talked about him and touched him and the way they treated him.
What was it?
There was an infamous clip of him at the 2012 VMAs where Jenny McCarthy is grabbing, groping, and kissing him against his will, and he openly says on stage that he feels violated, but that's not even the worst example. I mean, he was being asked sexually explicit questions in interviews from the time when he was like 14 years old, and adults were making lewd comments about him, both male and female celebrities and journalists across the board. It was just seeming to be like socially acceptable back then to treat him like this as a child star. And
not just treat him like this, but to openly violate things that he was making clear that he was uncomfortable with. It didn't matter what he wanted. It didn't matter that he was saying no. It was just, oh, we can do this because, whatever.
Right. And in one of those interviews, there was some host that asked him, like, have you lost your virginity, or like, have you had the talk with your parents or something? And he said, like, I don't think we need to talk about this. Like, I'm 14. Like, he even had the sense back then to correct them. But yeah, it seems like there was just nobody in his corner, like, telling him what to look out for.
There's a 20 there.
Pop Culture Junkie said, I lived through the new Coke debacle. Pepsi was starting to kick Coke's ass. There were always conspiracy theory rumors that the entire new formula / rebrand and switch back to the original was planned as a stunt.
I would love to see like the email evidence of that. Well, I guess it wouldn't have been. I don't know if it would have been like email back then, but I would love to see the evidence of that.
So Kim is reflecting on this now, 15 years later. Thinking like nobody in my family or any of the photographers or editors or creative directors, and not even his own mom, who was present at the photo shoot, thought that maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
And like, why did that not even cross our minds? Like, obviously now that would not be seen as acceptable, but a lot has changed, and some of it actually for the better.
Yep.
I think it's a good thing that this isn't seen as acceptable anymore.
Yeah. I mean, especially knowing what, look, you can't make that comment, but then also talk about like him showing up at Diddy's house to spend the weekend and pretend like bad things weren't happening.
Yeah. And you
Like,
know, before people
was.
start commenting about Diddy, I will remind you that Justin said, like he posted about all of these allegations that Diddy abused him and said that he is not a victim of Diddy. So I don't know what you want to do with that information if you think that he's just being pressured into denying the rumors, but he said that he wasn't one of Diddy's victims. I think he was a victim of a lot of other people and people who were using him, and putting him in uncomfortable, vulnerable situations that he shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
I think he was exposed to drugs as well, like
Like
way
they
too
made
young.
they made it seem like it wasn't creepy because his mom was there. It's
Yeah.
like, no, that makes
it
creepy
worse.
as well because the mom was there.
All of this stuff, though, is a symptom of him being in the entertainment world more than anything else.
Exactly.
Well, yes.
But that's also not to say that just because that's seen as socially unacceptable now that we've like made strides in letting kids be kids these days. Like even just weeks ago, we were talking about Kim Kardashian's outing with her 12-year-old daughter, North. And this girl is dressed like a prostitute, wearing a corset and a mini skirt and platform heels out with her mom in front of the world. And Kim was asked to answer for that decision on the same interview. And here is what she had to say.
There we go.
Like any mom of a teenager or a preteen, unless you've been here, like, please, we just need a little bit of grace. Like, it's really hard. And it's really like, it's interesting because all the kids are like wearing the same things, but then my daughter tries to wear it, and then I'm like, okay, we're never wearing that again. Unfortunately, we made that mistake in front of the whole world. And she's, usually a girl that dresses like a tomboy most of the time, and she wanted to try something that her friends were wearing and went to the same place that they went to, and they all got these, outfits, and then
your parents are supposed to like, well, so-and-so is doing this, and your parents say, well, if so-and-so wanted to jump off a bridge, would you follow them?
Right.
She wears them, and it's just like, okay, wait, maybe you can't wear that, And so as a mom, you're kind of like learning at the same time. But what I do know is my baby's such a good girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure she's a good girl. She just has terrible guidance from every adult in her life.
Yeah, that's exactly
including her mother, who got famous off of a sex tape and pretended that it was leaked. But this is not really exclusive to the entertainment industry. I mean, I was just recently at a tailor, and she has a lot of dresses for homecoming season in her workspace, and I'm looking at them, and we start talking about it, and she's showing me like, look at this stuff that they're wearing to homecoming at the high school, like a high school homecoming, not even college. And she's showing me like, this is see-through, like, and they come in with these tiny, tiny dresses, and they're asking me to make them even shorter and make them even tighter. And their parents are paying hundreds of dollars for these dresses,
Yeah.
and to get them altered. shorter and sluttier for their teenage daughters. And it's like, well, this isn't a Kim Kardashian problem. This is society-wide. That there are not specifically fathers willing to say you're not going out like that. And specifically in North's situation, obviously she does not have an active relationship with her father. That was something else that came up in this interview, and she was talking about you know, dealing with Kanye's mental episodes. One thing she said was that when they were married, she would come home and we had 5 Lamborghinis and they would all be gone if he was in an episode. And I'd be like, oh, where's all our cars? Like my new car. And it would be like, oh, he gave them all away to his friends. There was another part of the interview where it was really sad. She said, like, North was crying to her, telling her, you know, like, it's too late for like you and Dad, like you need to date and like find someone new. Like she's mourning the loss of like her parents' marriage, and it's just like something that also doesn't need to be projected for an audience of millions of people to feed on the breakdown of a family. Like it's really sad, but yeah, just more evidence that Kim Kardashian is deeply out of touch. We also saw her talking about the fact that she knows not the price of basic household items, like
how much is milk?
A carton of milk. Here's what she said.
I don't know if I have that one. I have. I think it's this one.
I mean,
From Zach
I
Peter.
don't have a concept of what like certain simple things cost, which really is, you know, I'd like to know a little bit more about what like a milk carton cost, and you know, let me think about this.
You can text.
No, I mean,
Who was it that guessed like grocery prices? There was some billionaire that they asked to like guess.
Bill Gates.
Was it Bill Gates?
It was Bill Gates.
Yeah, he said like a box of cereal is like $12. You know, it might be with the rate of inflation.
Look, these things don't.
Eventually.
These things don't bother me when celebrities don't know that. Like this is the thing. I did a video today about director Andy Muschietti blaming the fans for the failure of The Flash, and my point is like in your business you should know the downfalls, the pitfalls of like blaming the people who are supposed to be giving you money for your movie not making any money. But I don't expect somebody worth, you know, $30 zillion to know the price of milk. I don't.
Yeah.
I do not expect it. I tweeted, I said, I don't know the price of a BBL, so I guess we're even.
Well, we have a 20 from Boosted Yogi. It's a serious problem. Without failure ever, prom season, hundreds of parents post their young daughters in these tiny dresses on Marketplace. Like, WTF are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, and they're like see-through. It's basically lingerie at this point, like from what I saw.
Yeah.
And this is just deemed acceptable and normal, and they're allowed to wear that. I was even saying, like, I don't know, I never had homecoming or prom or anything. We didn't have a football team at my high school, but we did have dances. And it was just like a casual thing. Like, nobody cared what we wore to the dance, as long as you were wearing a dress that wasn't immodest, you were like allowed in, and nobody cared.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. But yeah, to what you were saying, I don't think that anyone should be mad at Kim Kardashian for not knowing the cost of groceries.
No.
It just should inform, you know, how much stock you put in her opinions about other things that we deal with in society. Like maybe her political opinions, or maybe her opinions about work, about money, about relationships.
And they asked that stuff, and I'm like, yeah. And if you asked Bill Gates questions, or you asked Jeff Bezos questions about running multi-billion-dollar corporations, you're not going to know the answer either. It's just that one of them is more commonplace and the other one is less.
Right.
It takes all kinds.
Let's finish up these super chats, though. Shane H. Wilder said, women marrying gay men is just further proof that birth control and SSRIs were a mistake. Well, that might be part of it. They're chemically altering their brains so that they're naturally attracted to these effeminate men. However, this woman isn't on birth control. She's actually pregnant.
Having a kid.
And I think that doesn't even factor in as a concern or a priority for her. Clearly, there are a great many heterosexual women in society who don't really see like having a sexual relationship in marriage as a priority for them, and they'd be probably better off not marrying or marrying a gay guy if that's something that they don't plan on prioritizing. Right? So they don't end up in an unhappy dead marriage with a straight guy. Corey Anderson said, to the gay man married to the Wilbur the pig in woman form, she got you trapped and she will take you to divorce court one day. Highly doubt that's the case, especially because they'd been together for over a decade before they even got married. I think they're in it for the long haul. That's how it seems to me. Cesario JPN said, Barbie Ferreira is plus size Mary. That's plus size circa late 1990s. I was expecting Gorlock the Destroyer level plus sizes from the segment. Well, yeah, I'll give it to you. She's not a ham planet, but she is overweight. Like, a lot of people were commenting on my tweet about Barbie Ferreira, saying that she's not plus size. Or maybe that the definition of plus size has shifted in recent years.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's the case, but for Victoria's Secret, plus size models always looked like her, and they are clinically overweight. And they were not featured in the Victoria's Secret shows up until very recently. So that's all I mean to take note of it. It could be worse, obviously. Like, you know, they could have had a runway show of all trans models. Like, I guess it could always be worse, but it's not like I'm gonna chalk it up to like, oh, well, it was only a few of them, so whatever. Like, I think that they could do better, and market forces should incentivize them to do better next time. Brian Bledsoe said, shout out to us crisis truckers. Yeah, the truckers who listen to PCC are the crisis truckers. Corey Anderson said, I like Lost Prophets. The song Shinobi vs. Dragon Ninja is dope. The rest of the guys in the band did nothing wrong and they deserve royalties.
That is a whole situation that...
Were they aware of it?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I'm assuming that they did not.
Probably not. I would hope not. Young Stav said, Star Wars was for everyone. Stop the BS, Disney.
Yep.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said, the Empire were the good guys in Star Wars. Randall was correct in Clerks about it, and no one ever thinks of the contractors on the Death Star. Well, don't make us get into that debate again. I remember like that went on for like 45 minutes or something on IRL a couple months ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Were you on that episode?
I was on that episode.
that was the episode we were on together, and it was mind-numbing. Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, this is anecdotal, but growing up in the 70s and 80s, I did not know a single girl who liked Star Wars. But there were plenty of girls with Barbie and strawberry shortcake backpacks.
True.
There was something, that's the thing though, like it used to be the novel idea of the girl who was into something that you also liked. And that was interesting because it was novel and not common.
Mm-hmm.
It loses its appeal when suddenly when it's actually made for somebody else.
I mean, I guess nobody ever claimed that there are zero female fans of Star Wars or insert any other franchise. They're just saying... They're stating the obvious fact that it is a predominantly male fan base.
Yep.
And that's how they should market it.
Yes.
And that's not going to change.
That's been something that, like, the people that like Star Wars have been saying for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're just like, nope, you don't know anything at all. We're just going to keep riding this this property into the ground.
It has literally been 10 years at this point, which is crazy to think about.
Yep. People that liked The Force Awakens were enjoying the nostalgia. They didn't actually like the story because the story was a poor rewrite of A New Hope, and it had a total Mary Sue in it. And Like, so people just like, oh, look, there's the Falcon again. Oh, there's Han Solo. There, like that's what they liked. It wasn't that they liked the story, and the other two were garbage, and every other post, sequel movie, save for Rogue One, was bad.
And then The Acolyte is just the cherry on top. And Amanda Stenberg.
I stopped watching before that.
Right. Right. As most people did. But like Amanda Stenberg is like her attitude and her response to the backlash on the show was more of a problem, honestly, than the show's shittiness.
I just found this article from 2024. Hallmark is for the boys too. The Groomsmen trilogy, men are the center of the romantic comedies. Guess what? Doesn't make it for men.
Is that satire?
It's from Yahoo Entertainment.
That sounds like satire.
We're in the bromance era. Star and executive producer Jonathan Bennett tells Yahoo Entertainment. For years, Hallmark has established itself as a network that appeals especially to women. And then there's just some guy in the comments, wearing a lumberjack outfit, says Hallmark is for boys too.
Great. I'll also add kudos to Daisy Ridley because she never leaned into any of the discourse. Yes. She just said, like, I'm excited about the movie, watch the movie. Yep. End of story. Young Stuff said Star Wars was generational. Disney lost Gen Z. Haha.
Gen Z was never going to care.
Was it the headline about studios wanting to appeal to Gen Z men? Was that specifically mentioning Disney?
I don't think so.
Or was it just general?
I think just in general.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That one, yes. That was, I believe that was like Disney Insiders.
It was Disney specifically. Yeah.
It reminds me of this meme, though. It says, the bad guy in a Hallmark movie is the boyfriend who's like, no, babe, I can't drop everything and leave work this weekend. I'm about to close a deal for $10 million that will set us up for life. And the good guy is a dude who is just standing there when she gets into town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He works at the coffee shop. Yep. He's the hometown barista.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said it was never about the romance. It was the hero's journey.
Yeah.
For Han Solo and Leia, it was about proving oneself and willingness to be self-sacrificing.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Anderson said they claim Beethoven was black as well. Loser.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
The moral of the story from only every single Hallmark movie is, guys, never let your wife or girlfriend return to her hometown for Christmas to help decorate the town square and save the local hardware store from a big business, because then a freak blizzard will happen and her high school crush who works part-time at the antique shop will just so happen to save her and they'll fall in love. True.
He's always a handsome loser. I need to get into Hallmark movies. I don't think I've ever watched one.
You should try one this year.
I can see if
or you should
I'm
go,
what is deep down closeted Hallmark fan.
American Family movies.
The Great American Family Network.
You need to watch the Candace Cameron Bure ones.
Right. The mayor of Serioustown said, I hadn't heard Kim Kardashian's voice until just now, and I wish it stayed that way.
Really? Good for you.
We were talking about her yesterday, wondering why people think she's dumb, because she's not dumb.
She's not dumb.
But she sounds incredibly dumb. I think she leans into it.
Yes.
With that accent. Is it California accent?
Part of the character that she plays on TV.
Right.
She closes a lot of deals. She makes a lot of money. She's not dumb.
Right. And Paris Hilton, too.
Yep.
But Paris Hilton was a way more extreme example. She just fully had a fake character that she played. And then you'd hear her out of character every once in a while, talking like this.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Robert Delera said, Kim Kardashian never had any moral standards. Money is her god. It's just that simple. I don't know.
People that make that judgment or make those kind of remarks, you're just like, well, how much of it is jealousy, right? How much of it is I don't like this person's persona and I don't like rich people because I'm broke.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of that,
Yeah. There's definitely some have-not energy, but I mean, she's pretty obviously poor at parenting and self-absorbed, and the fact that she lets her daughter on TikTok and lets her daughter dress like a prostitute and puts her out there for the public consumption the way she does, I do think that's like solid evidence that she's not a very morally calibrated person. But we don't know anyone's conscience deep down, I suppose. Pop Culture Junkie said the new Coke stunt rumors persist to this day, but there's no evidence that it's true. The rebrand is used in advertising textbooks as a bad example. So Cracker Barrel maybe did the new Coke rebrand 2.0. People also thought that was a calculated stunt. And I'm not decided on it.
I don't think it was a stunt. I think that
they're just that dumb.
I think it's a large corporation with a lot of moving parts, and
when you do things by committee, like people in that glass room really thought, millennial gray rustic farmhouse aesthetic was it.
Look, it goes to what I was saying about like their job is to know what their audience wants, what their customers want, and not everybody in the boardroom is necessarily going to be able to do that.
I heard that the reason why millennials, why there are terms such as millennial gray, millennial beige, and even millennial pink, which is that like muted, dusty pink.
Okay.
The reason why they're obsessed with colorless marketing and colorless homes and colorless workspaces and clothing even, it's because when millennials grew up, they were inundated with all of these like bright flashing lights and like super saturated colors in commercials and in TV shows and over like sensory overload.
Yeah.
So they wanted to revert to the opposite extreme where everything is muted and gray and neutral, and they're even raising their children that way, where like their children have beige clothes and they like dress their babies in a burlap sack and give them like toys that are all beige, because it's like part of their parenting philosophy is not exposing their children to too many stimuli. Which is like maybe directionally correct, like don't give them Cocoa Melon, but also like they can have pink toys.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know, like I think they'll be okay. Yeah, they're it's a sad story.
Maybe by the time I have kids, we'll start spelling company names with a Z at the end.
Millennials used to wear like neon green like zebra print and stuff and like rhinestone covered.
Well, even before I was
like the McBling.
Are you thinking of Zubas? Because Zubas were before millennials.
I mean, I'm thinking of like maybe the younger millennial generation that like Zoomers.
It was like 90s stuff.
Younger millennials?
No, I thought that kind of like those kind of colors and stuff were like the 90s. Because like, you think of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, I'm talking about like the late 2000s and early 2010s. Millennials.
Okay.
Like it's kind of to Gen Z, the older sister aesthetic.
Okay.
Like watching millennials in young adulthood, they had a distinct fashion sense and aesthetic that they retired once they needed to get serious adult jobs.
Okay.
And then they started dressing in millennial gray and buying rustic farmhouse.
This is what every adult man aspired to look like when it was the 90s. You wanted to
what am I looking
look
at?
like
that's what I was thinking.
Dan Marino wearing Zubas.
I've never seen those in my life. Thank you for educating me.
Yep. Happy to help.
Pop Culture Junkie. Already read that. Corey Anderson said, Mary, I remember you said you like Hot Mulligan. Hot Mulligan is playing on November 2nd in DC. Hope to see you there. Well, I'm not going. I wasn't going already, but I'm especially not going to meet you.
S in one
I don't
hand,
know what
open
you
the
thought
other, and
that
see what they get you.
Did you think that was going to be our meet cute? That's nice.
Guess I'll go.
Yeah. Well, now that I know you're going, I'm definitely going to buy a ticket.
Oh, man.
I'm going to show up to meet someone. I mean, I'm going to show up to meet a stranger that sent me money online at a concert venue in Washington, D.C. alone. That sounds like a great idea.
Mary is ruthless with the people that like imply that she's going to hang out with them in real life. She's like, I will cut you.
We don't do parasocial here. We don't do that. This isn't parasocial culture crisis, okay? We're not doing that stuff.
Yeah, you know.
So let me shut that down right now. Shane H. Wilder said, I thought Beethoven was a Saint Bernard. Oh, I remember Beethoven.
You see that movie?
The dog.
It was
Yeah.
good. It was
That's nostalgic.
I feel like that's one that I want to rewatch. It's like watching What About Bob when you're young and then rewatching it when you're older.
I've never heard of that. What is that?
It's a movie
What About
where
Bob?
Bill Murray plays a mentally ill patient of a doctor that he tracks down to his house while he's on vacation, and he becomes it could very easily have been a horror movie or a dark thriller, but instead it's played for comedy. You should see some of the re-edits of the movie without the humor.
Is it like a black comedy sort of thing?
Not really. Like, you'd have to watch it. It was a product of its time for sure.
Greg Duvier said, Phil is right about Force Awakens and was completely captured by the nostalgia and trying to convince myself it was a good movie. The next two came out and realized Disney destroyed Star Wars.
And the worst part is, like, if you did have hope after The Force Awakens, the second one was Rise of Skywalker, right? I don't remember what the second one was called. It was so terrible. By the time you got to
Rise of Skywalker was the third one.
It was the third one?
Yeah.
So The Last Jedi then?
The Last Jedi was the second
That
one.
was so atrocious. By the 2/3 through the second act, right? So you're like almost to the third act. I was like, I can't believe that they made this garbage. And then when you realize that the whole second act was pointless, like there was no reason for any of the stuff they did in the second act. Like that whole part could have been taken out. It had nothing to do, or it had no bearing on the movie at all. It was just a way for them to go ahead and be like, look, rich people are bad, capitalism's bad, blah, 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 blah. That's all it was. I was totally offended. I was like, I hate everything that Star Wars has become.
So you didn't end up seeing the third one?
I did, and that was terrible as well.
Oh, okay.
It was terrible.
You just came back for more.
Yeah, well, J.J. Abrams did the first one, and like he had an actual story, and then Disney was like, no, make the first one again.
You didn't get the assignment, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was like, I've got this idea, and we're going to do this, and they're like, no, you need to remake the first one, but we're going to put a chick in it. And we're going to do
make it gay.
basically make it gay. We're going to do all just nostalgia stuff. That's it. It's Luke Skywalker if he had a vagina, right? And that was the first one. And then they brought in, what's his name for the second one? Ryan Johnson. And he literally was like, I am going to deconstruct Star Wars. I'm going to change what everyone thinks about Star Wars. It's going to surprise everyone, blah, blah, blah. And he made the movie that someone that hates Star Wars would make. Like if you hated Star Wars, that's the Star Wars movie you would make. And then J.J. Abrams was like, I left you all this stuff. Even though Disney said I had to do all this dumb stuff, I left you all of these things that you could have worked with, and you just threw them all away, and now you want me to come back in and fix this pile of trash? And I do think that he tried, but I don't think that there was any fixing it at that point. So.
It's really funny. I watched this like 3-hour retrospective on the Mission Impossible franchise, and they point out how largely until the movie started getting names from 4 onwards, like Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, 1 through 3, though they could work as a trilogy of sorts, were all kind of largely standalone adventures, and every director told a very different story from the one before it. So like the first one was done by, I believe, Brian De Palma, and it's got action, but for the most part it's very muted and it's very quiet, and it plays into that element. You know, have you ever seen the famous scene of Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt on the wires? He almost hits the ground and he keeps his arms straight out to prevent the security alarm from going off. And then the second one's a John Woo movie. It's insane. There's doves, there's firefights, an explosion goes off and somehow he gets pulled the opposite direction. Nobody knows what the hell is going on, and it's very loud. And it didn't really matter. Like in those films, it didn't really matter in those first 3 movies that they didn't seem to be like a tonal through line, because they could all be different. But you can't really do that with Star Wars.
Well, then what is Star Wars supposed to feel like? I
mean, it should feel coherent especially if you're telling a trilogy. When they were doing Mission Impossible movies, they were just doing individual movies, and then if it did well enough, they would greenlight a new one. But when you're doing the Disney sequel trilogy, they know that they want to make a trilogy, and they didn't have a plan for 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
That's insane.
That only makes sense with like a network TV show where you're writing it as the season continues.
Also, something I addressed in my video about the death of comfort shows, which you should watch after the show.
More meritocratic that way, if you respond to ratings.
Well, yeah, and the whole point is I give examples of like, look, there's all these characters in television history that only got popular because audiences started reacting to them, so the writers started, you know, incorporating them more. The most ill-fated example would be in Arrow. The character of Felicity became very popular, so they started writing out Laura Lance, who was canonically the actual love interest of Oliver Queen in the comics, and started writing in Felicity, who is this, you know, basically a character like John Diggle created just for the television show and didn't have any, you know, history in the comics. And then the problem is it went too far that way, and then it became what they would dub Felicity and Friends, and it became very little to do with Oliver, and her character got to be very annoying in the later seasons. But it is an example where by the midpoint of season 1, they could tell that there was something there. And let's face it, most of that was Oliver emotionally manipulating her by being handsome and basically making eyes at her and saying, hey, could you do this for me? And her being kind of powerless to stop herself from doing so. But people resonated with the character, so they started writing her more, and by season 2 she was a main character.
Shane H. Wilder said, well, Mary, if you decide to watch a Hallmark movie, you only have to see one to have seen them all. Yeah, that's a little bit of a cheat code for the Hallmark cinematic universe.
You should watch one, but you shouldn't watch a new one. You should try to find one. Like, does somebody
Does Olivia like them?
Olivia doesn't want, at least unless she does it when I'm not around. She's never watched
someone who's into Hallmark movies.
Like, what's
I need
the
a
golden
recommendation.
age? Like, what's the golden?
What is the Hallmark movie that defines the genre?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know. Censored 86 said The Quartering is clickbait without any content. I don't know. I haven't watched The Quartering.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Felicity was in the comics. I am sorry. I misspoke on that. I saw somebody corrected me there. I am sorry. She was in the comics.
Oh, okay. Corey Anderson said, no, I was just letting you know they were playing. Sure.
Okay.
Sure you were. Not that Jon Stewart said, damn, Mary, he's dead. You're just wasting ammo at this point. Yeah, maybe I went a little too far, but I'm not going to say sorry. Pop Culture Junkie said Cracker Barrel, example of new clueless CEO dealing with aging demo brand, trying to put their own personal stamp on it. Yeah. Not the first time, won't be the last. Is that her own personal stamp? Just painting everything gray?
She's like, let's make it all drab.
My personal stamp is gutting everything.
Well, I mean, the better thing she should have done, she should have hired personal shoppers to make it even more cluttered.
Great.
And even more, you know,
you
like
can
an
barely
antique
find
stop.
a place to sit. Yeah. Corey Anderson said, John, not only am I dead, but she emptied the mag after a headshot. Geez, LOL. You're welcome. Shane H. Wilder said, come on, Corey, you didn't see that one coming. I'm shocked she didn't switch mags just to bring up that you're a married man. I don't even know anymore. He said that he's married, then he said that he's not, then he said that it's all, you know, some sort of LARP. I don't know what to believe. You can tell us you are whoever you want to be, and we have no choice but to take you at your word. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, if you're married, you should not be simping. There have been plenty of super chats from Corey Anderson I raised an eyebrow at, but, you know, we still read them and we don't judge.
We don't judge. You literally just judged me, but we don't judge.
Well, you know, we're gonna hear you out.
We just lie.
Yeah. Do we have any Rumble rants?
We are all caught up. We are all caught up. Just double checking to make sure that we've got. I think I might have missed one up here. Yes, Adobe Kenobi said, sadly, Star Wars continues to sink lower and lower into the Sarlacc pit every day. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, we don't cover Star Wars a lot on here because a lot of, like, I cover Marvel and DC sometimes on my own. I did quite a bit this week, actually, but it's like you've had, that's just news, and it's not really a discussion because once you've had one discussion about these brands, it seemingly feels like you've had them all.
Mm-hmm. Well, the last time that we were talking about Star Wars regularly was just because of the Acolyte and like us reviewing the Acolyte, covering the Acolyte fallout, and we were reviewing it as non-fans, I guess. Like, neither of us are fans of Star Wars. We don't dislike it, but
It's just dreadfully boring.
yeah,
the
it was
show
really
was.
boring and poorly written and cringe.
Like, everybody's talking about lesbian space witches. I'm like, I don't care about that. I'm falling asleep with this shit. Like, I'll watch all the lesbian space witches you want to throw at me. I don't care, but just make them interesting.
There were some dark romance elements to The Acolyte. I could see that they were trying to steer it in that direction.
They were already on their way to writing that.
What was his name?
I already forgot.
What was the name that they used to? Was it Smilo Ren? They started calling him.
But what was?
I don't even remember what the character's name was.
It was that bad.
And then we did a video where I read the
fanfic,
the explicit fanfics about the show. It was horrible.
What was his name?
I don't remember what his name was.
Somebody in the chat will know.
Yeah, you guys have a better memory. Gordon Shumway sent us a 20. You're so right about comfort shows needing to make a comeback. 2 examples come to mind for me. Urkel with Family Matters and Alex P. Keaton with Family Ties. The writers completely retooled those shows to focus on them.
Yeah, those are great examples of those. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Tom from Midnight's Edge who was the first person who really explained to me, I think it was on like an episode of Salty Nerd, about how writing was different when they were writing on those network TV shows. And look, they're working 9 months out of the year. They get their 3 months off. But for the most part, if you're the lead actor on one of those shows, you're working 16, 17 hours a day, 6 days a week for 9 months out of the year. And then, like, that was one of the big things they were talking about, like when they made the X-Files movie. It's like, so these actors, Mulder and Scully, you know, Duchovny and Anderson, are working 16, 17 hours a day, 6 days a week, and now they're going to make a movie. So in the 3 months that they have off, they have to go right into shooting the movie. Like, that's crazy.
Oh no, they're paying me so much money.
You know, but the thing is, like, that ends up being a relative discussion, right? Yes, they're making a lot of money, but once you've made that money, it's kind of like people talking about what's going on with Moist Critical, like turning off monetization on his channel because he made $35 or $40 million, and they're like,
Did he really?
People were dunking on him, like, once I make $40 million, I too will turn off the monetization. But the point is, he didn't need to do that. He could just keep making money.
Why did he do that? What was his
He just said he just doesn't feel like it's fair to the audience, like to the people who are
to have to watch ads for his videos.
I don't know if he's talking Superchats too for live. I don't know.
That's why.
But here's the thing, though. It also risks his channel because if YouTube can't monetize it, it's not going to get pushed.
Exactly.
Like his views will suffer.
On YouTube, or does he stream on Twitch?
I mean, I don't know about that. I'm just saying, like, at the very least, that's where I've seen his content is YouTube videos. Like, they're not going to get promoted as heavily if there's no monetization to be made.
Well, you know what? F him, because he took an out of context clip of me and criticized me, and that was shitty of him. So, you know what? He deserves it.
Welcome to YouTube.
Pop Culture Junkie.
He deserves $30 or $40 million.
He deserves to stop making money.
However, if you make me $40 million, I will continue to monetize.
That reminds me. I think well, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow, so I don't want to spoil it. Never mind me. Pop Culture Junkie said, I agree with Phil. J.J. Abrams' job in Star Wars Sequel 3, cleaning up after the elephant at the circus with a scoop. Too big a mess, unfortunately. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Hold on.
Crisis Party number 3.
It's a good pose.
It's one of the better ones, I think.
Shane H. Wilder said, I judge, but it's mainly just face palming. Oh, I was going to say, I need to rewatch Family Ties now that that's been brought up. Really love that character. But I can't tell if Alex Keaton was, like, written as this super, like, young Republican nerd to make fun of Republicans, or if that was just, like, endearing.
I don't think it was written it was so long ago, I don't think it was done that way on purpose. Not with that context.
But it's not seen as, like, relatable. I don't know. Carnell said, can we get a game show called The Price Is Huh? Where celebrities attempt to guess the retail price of household goods, but the audience are made up of Gen Z struggle to guess alongside.
Look, that's the thing is, though, is like doing that it's something that some podcaster would do. They would host as a segment.
Yeah,
an
interview segment on Hot Ones or something.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a gimmick.
Yep.
Oscar Regalado.
Plus, you could just be like, "How much is this gallon of milk?" And then you just say, they give it to money. Like, no, it's this price in California, and then it's just different from whatever you're paying in the rest of the country.
They all buy their groceries from Erewhon anyway, so they think that a carrot is like $50.
Mm-hmm. There was like something on X today that was like dad of 6 like crying about the price of groceries, and the top comment was like, what is a dude with 6 kids buying groceries at Trader Joe's for when Costco exists?
Trader Joe's? Yeah. Those are for the big bucks.
Yeah, they're rich people.
Yeah. Oscar Regalado said, I think women gooners are more freaky deaky than men.
Well, it's because it's state-sponsored gooning.
Are we going to start using the phrase freaky deaky?
It's socially acceptable to be a female gooner.
Yeah, they're like reading these smut books like in the middle of the airport.
You're just sitting next to a lady on the plane and she's just reading porn.
Weird shit.
Those books are the reason why book covers exist.
Yeah.
Like the suggestive ones, or
no, those books are why, like, book covers, like, you know, you put a cover on the book so that way you can't see what the actual cover is.
Yeah, they just don't even care about hiding it anymore. There's no shame.
It's because they're disgusting. That's like listening to that's like sitting there like watching porn on your phone with
literally,
headphones
yeah. And that guy that hosts Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson, I believe his name, he used to be a club promoter, but he said that one of his other side hustles back in the day before he was a content creator was he was like a model, like a shirtless male model, and he would be on the covers of these romance novels. Like he would model for like dark romance books for women. And he still is like hopefully getting money from that, but yeah. Not his proudest moment, I'm guessing. All right. I think we're all caught up on the super chats now.
Yeah, the moist critical thing was interesting because everybody was having opinions about like whether it was a good thing or like whether they're like, oh, he made $40 million and then like now it's like a virtue signal. I'm like,
well,
no.
I mean, I agree that it's like stupid to think that making money is bad.
Yeah.
Like, why is that unfair to your audience? They want to support you financially. Mm-hmm. No one in that situation is like getting exploited or something.
Yep.
And you're doing honest work. It's like you're the one making the content. Why should you like, not be compensated for
people
it?
In the space, then they're going to hear a lot of opinions. It's kind of the same thing that happens to actors, where like it's looked down upon what you do. Like anybody who creates content, if they're smart, they don't ever complain about it because they know that people are gonna be like, bro, I lay brick for 10 hours a day. Like, stop talking to me about how hard your job is.
Well, yeah.
And that's just that's your cross to bear. Like, if your job is hard, tough, like the people watching you likely, you know, if they're doing, whether it's back-breaking labor or whatever it is, like, you're very fortunate. It doesn't mean that what you do doesn't necessarily entail some level of difficulty. It takes a certain level of charisma and talent to be able to, like, especially on your own, to be able to enthrall like lots and lots of people. It's not something you can just drop anyone in to do.
Try being an influencer,
but that doesn't make it. That doesn't mean that like it's a good look for you to complain about your work because the guy's gonna be like, bro, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm.
But that guy that is a bricklayer should become a TikToker.
I know, like, if you have any type of hobby or not, like you have any type of interesting trade, it's a gold mine for content. Right. Like, half of my Instagram feed and my in my YouTube feed are people with doing things like that. It's like, it's bricklaying, it's masonry, it's all sorts of, you know, building and things like that. And a lot of work goes into making those videos a lot of the time for what they're doing. So I always appreciate it.
Gordon Shumway said, Alex P. Keaton was not written to make fun of Republicans. His character was written to show society was turned upside down. The creator was an old hippie liberal and noticed his kids turned out to be conservative.
Interesting.
Yeah, they wouldn't really write a character like that these days.
All
obviously.
right, guys, I think we got all of them there. Before we go, would you hit the like button, please, on this video, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Phil, where can they find you?
I am Phil That Remains on Twix, and I want to let you guys know that I have I did a song with a band called Zillion. The song is called Cannibals, and it's available on October 17th. You can go over to Spotify right now and pre-save it. So go check that out. Remember, this band is Zillion, like $1 zillion kind of thing. The song is called Cannibals. My band, All That Remains, you can check us out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. Don't forget The Left Lane is for Crime.
Perfect.
New Music Friday. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived. You are going to be seeing me appear on Timcast IRL this evening. And I will also be promoting my coffee there, but I will do that here as well. You should go to castbrew.com and grab yourself a bag of Mary's Ghost Blend. It's s'mores flavored. It smells amazing. It's perfect. You need to get it before Halloween. Perfect for those campfire nights.
Perfect.
Just like huddling around the campfire, telling ghost stories. I'm going to be shilling the hell out of that on IRL.
Just bring that with you.
I am going to bring it with me.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
All right. Guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram. Phil, can you move the mic there, please?
Sorry.
Can you hit the like button on this video, please? Normally, sometimes he'll just put it up there and it's like in the corner, and I'm like, it's fine. That time it's like literally right in front of my face. Thank you. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is another great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.